I love talking about video game movies because it's kind of like the marriage of two of my favorite things, movies and video games. Do they work well together? More often than not, no. But it's still fun to talk about. I'm always hoping for the best, and I think things have gotten better. But now, of course, we finally have, thanks to the news yesterday, we have a look at the Uncharted movie with Tom Holland, our new Peter Parker, playing Nathan Drake. We got a first look at him in costume on set as they're filming it. And yeah, to be honest, I'm kind of indifferent about it. Nathan Drake as a person, if it's not Nathan Drake himself, anything else like Nathan Drake is pretty much just a dude in a shirt with fluffy little hair like mine. And that's it. So yes, I mean, he fits the character. He's got the ring. Everything seems pretty on point. I think his shirt needs to be half tucked in. It's very, very vital that they missed that. I can't believe they did that. But I'm not really here to like totally break down and just talk about the look. Like, yes, I think he could be a little older. Yes, Nathan Fillion in a perfect world would have been the best Nathan Drake. Even if he is getting a little older, I still think it could have worked out somehow. But what we have, I'm looking forward to that. I think he could do a good job. But the movie has a lot to do, and that's what I wanted to talk about, because the pressure is immense. There's a lot of things they have to juggle here, and I think it's important to point out probably like the two major things I think that is important for this movie, and that is the tone and the characters. Tone is really going to be important, just like the vibe of the movie and all of that, because that's what's going to set it apart. Because if you really boil Uncharted down, Uncharted was made as a celebration of awesome, fun action adventure movies. It was fun to play in Uncharted because you were playing out these crazy things that you've only really seen in movies, and these types of adventures and treasure hunting. In a movie, it's kind of in danger of coming off as a little more generic as stuff we've seen before in movies. We've seen Journey to the Center of the Earth. We've seen Indiana Jones movies. We've seen National Treasure. So it has to stand out in its vibe, in its levity, and its fun. But it also really just has to nail those big action set piece moments. Those are the things that we go for in the games. And the movie, it's going to be harder to top because every movie now has an insane thing or crazy thing that happens and it's like half CGI. I'm guaranteeing you now, I can like imagine the Uncharted trailer and then the music like crescendos and it shows him go for a jump and then it cuts and it's like Uncharted in theaters. That has to look cool. That has to look like a real man running and jumping and falling and things are collapsing and he's always stumbling around and jumping as things crumble around him. They have to nail that in a way where it really looks convincing to me. And I know special effects have come so far, but it's still going to probably look like he's on a green screen if they go over the top. Here's my pitch. Doesn't matter at all, but go 90s with it. Go a little bit more old school with it. The 90s I thought had a really good blend of special effects, CGI, and real practical sets. I want a tomb that they're exploring in this movie to look like a movie set. You know what I mean? I don't mean like make it look fake, but I mean make it feel like a real tangible place that was built up. And that's where a part of the movie takes place, because that can really help the action, because if they're tearing down real walls and stuff left and right, and that set photo of him standing around like broken wood, maybe it will, that's really going to seal the deal. Because if he's running from a giant collapsing temple and it just looks like a big fake temple, I'm going to feel nothing, and it's just going to feel like another like whatever action movie. And that also leads to my other point. The characters. Because this is an adventure, it's a swashbuckling, fun adventure, a lot of it falls on the characters. And I think that Tom Holland has a pretty tall order. I think he's up for it. I think he's likable, he's fun, he's entertaining. But the characters and how they act and what they do, and couple that with the tone, is what's really going to sell it. Because take, for example, Uncharted 2. Uncharted 2 is one of my favorite video games of all time. It's also one of my favorite openings of all time. Nate wakes up from being unconscious, he's covered in blood, and he's sitting on a train, but that train is hanging off of a cliff of a snowy mountain. And there's been movies where someone jumps out of a train that's collapsing and falling, and it's amazing and it's crazy. But what's going to sell it here, and what sold it for me in the game, was Nathan Drake himself like reacting to that, and just like him waking up and being like, oh geez. All that stuff I think is what is the big thing. You come for the action moments, but you also come for the characters going through it. Then the other thing is the whole mystery thing. There's always a treasure hunt. There's always some mystery to solve, grounding every Uncharted game. And to me personally, it's fun. It's a great thing to move a plot along, but it's not what I come for. So I think the movie can actually one-up the games by really making the treasure plot super duper interesting. I'm not saying that the games didn't, but it just was the thing I remember the least. For me, the most memorable treasure hunt, because I like pirates and stuff, so Uncharted 4 really worked for me. El Dorado, of course, was really cool, but they got to really make it compelling in the movie, especially because, like I was saying before, like we've seen these types of movies. We've seen Raiders of the Lost Ark. We've seen National Treasure. Why do I keep referencing National Treasure? Anyway, and actually go back for a second, because with the tone, another thing I wanted to point out with like the CGI and the special effects and stuff, I want it to be practical, but I also don't want them to go full realistic. I want it to go a little cartoon. You know what I mean? Because Nathan Drake takes a beating. He takes a shit ton of damage, and it's funny and it's ridiculous. He falls from massive heights. I don't mind if the movie is willing to kind of mess with the rules and the laws of things a little bit. But if they can do it in a way that's like light and funny and convincing and not overly CGI, I know I'm asking for a lot. But things like this have been pulled off in movies before. It really comes down to the creative people behind it and having kind of a unified vision of like what exactly this thing is going to be. And we don't know yet. It's all, speculation. Honestly, my one big sticking point right now, since like I think, Tom Holland looks fine, I think my biggest issue with the movie right now is that Mark Wahlberg is playing Sully, and Sully, at least from like a set photo I saw of them, Sully doesn't look like he has a mustache, and it just looks like straight up Mark Wahlberg. I'm not really into that. Again, it doesn't have to be like carbon copy of the game, but come on, that's Sully. That's a big deal. If Mark Wahlberg somehow knocks it out of the park and plays this crazy rascal guy, that'll be interesting. But like, it's just Mark Wahlberg. I can't help but. Can we point out that they've been working on this movie for so long that originally Mark Wahlberg was attached to play Nathan Drake. Now he's playing Sully, the older character. It's crazy. I think that now with how they're approaching this movie is probably the best approach so far. They're going for it. They're trying to make a movie like the game. Early on, the early scripts, the early versions, De Niro was producing, De Niro was going to be in it. There were all these weird ideas. They were like, we're going to make it like a family crime drama type of weird heist movie. And like they were throwing around all these words that didn't quite sound right. It sounded a little tone deaf. It sounded a little bit like they didn't know what they were talking about. But now at the very least, like we got to look at Nathan Drake and it's like, oh, okay. Like they know what they're making at least. Are they going to pull it off? I don't know. Like I said, I feel like video game movies have a 50-50 track record, but lately I've been more into things, especially with like the Witcher Netflix series. I just feel a little more positive about some things. But then we have the Monster Hunter movie, which looks like it could potentially be a step back. I don't know for sure. Fingers crossed, of course. But again, this is such a tall order. This is a hard thing to climb. I think there are easier video game movies to make than Uncharted for the reasons I just listed. For the number one fact that the game was made to kind of celebrate and honor fun action movies and kind of ape those and let you play as those, but also the fact that the characters in the game are so freaking iconic that it's hard to top that, and also to make it seem like it's not just this weird CGI fest where you feel disconnected and you feel like Nathan Drake is disconnected from everything collapsing around him, and keeping the balance of like humor and real shit, and also like how cartoony it is and how not cartoony it is, how realistic it is, and can the plot be interesting? Can you follow the treasure mystery, or is it just going to be a movie where Tom Holland shows up and he looks handsome and that's it? Regardless, I thought he was really good recently in The Devil All the Time on Netflix. Definitely recommend that if you want like a bummer watch. But I thought it was really good, and I thought he was really good in it. But anyway, that was me talking about movies and stuff. This is actually the second video now on this channel where I didn't talk about a video game. Whoa. I'll be back on that for real. But I want to hear from you guys. The conversation is the most exciting thing here. What could you possibly want from an Uncharted movie? Are your expectations super high for it? Do you think they could pull it off? Do you not care? Are you not even going to give it a shot? Everybody thought Sonic the Hedgehog was going to be bad, and I found that movie to be pretty damn fantastic. So I don't know. But anyway, let's talk. I really want to hear from you what you think about the Uncharted movie, what you think about the casting of Tom Holland, the look of Tom Holland, everything. If you like listening to me ramble and talk and stuff like that, I just talk about what I love here. So if you appreciate that, clicking the like button does actually help me. And maybe if you're new, subscribe, hit the notification bell button, because I only put out a video like once a week or so I won't spam you. But thank you guys for watching. I'm Jake Baldino. You can subscribe because video games. Pizza's on me.